Welcome to Landscape Smart, presented by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. I am Matt Hinker, and joining me today is Ron Rademann and Master Gardener Patty. If you have any landscaping or gardening questions, phone lines are open. So give us a call at 923-1450 or 1-888-900-1450. Can't give us a call? Shoot us an email at kfizstudio@gmail.com. Ron, Patty, welcome into this muggy, wet Saturday morning.
Well, it's going to unmuggy itself pretty quick.
Yeah, it is. It is going to do that.
The winds pick up here again today. Yeah, it's been a windy week.
Yes. We went shopping yesterday for items to bring to our plant sale on May 11th, our Master Gardener plant sale.
Ooh.
And we have some beautiful hanging baskets in the van and a lot of everything you can want. And the greenhouse has all the seedling tomatoes and peppers, and they're sprouting and been repotted already, so they're going to be really nice and big to go.
Nice.
So, yeah, it's going to be May 11th at the fairgrounds from 9 to 3.
All right. And you're going to be out there?
Yes, and I'm going to do a container planting designing service. So if anybody has a large container they want planted up, or we have them there to purchase, and they can, I'll fill it up with all the plants they want in there and design it. It's all good to go.
You'll arrange everything for them.
I see. Okay.
That's
Plant it and arrange it.
Yep. It's my specialty. I love doing that.
So what goes into like an arrangement then? What is...
Well, I combine different colors and textures, and you have to make sure the plants all like the same needs. So if it's a shade planter, you can put in different coleus and different vining plants that prefer shade, and colorful flowers that prefer shade.
Oh, okay.
And if it's a full sun, I do the opposite. So
kind of the key there would be deciding where you're going to put your hanging basket, because that would depend on the plants that you shop for, and because you wouldn't want to mix a full sun together with a full shade.
Right.
Yeah.
You could probably bend the rule a little bit if it's part sun, part shade, part sun.
That's always a good, option. If you do all part sun or part shade plants, they can go in either direction. So, but I don't use the traditional spikes like people. You see those spikes. I use colorful grasses like purple fountain grass and fireworks fountain grass, and there's also king tut, and that one gets huge. It gets like 5 feet tall. I stay away from that a little bit unless you have a huge planter, but it's pretty.
It probably won't get 5 feet tall in a pot or planter though either. But
they get 3 for sure.
Right.
Still plenty to work with there.
Yeah. It's enjoyable to see how well they grow together, and they don't. Containers that are bigger don't need to be watered twice a day. So that makes it a little simpler, and you can dress up your front door or your deck or your porch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good point. Some people say, well, I don't want to work that hard, but if you have a big enough pot, then you can get by watering it every other day or maybe even a couple times a week instead of every day.
Right.
So,
why is a bigger pot allow for less watering? Is it because there's more soil that can hold more water?
Exactly.
I started asking the question, I started thinking about it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just, for people that don't, you can even do a vegetable garden in a container. It's doable. There's lots of different vegetables that'll do well in containers.
Such as, just out of curiosity?
We have patio tomatoes. Okay. We have patio. I think we're trying a patio pepper this year too.
Oh yeah.
You can do some of the cucumbers, the ones that say they're bush cucumbers. You can do. They're not truly bush cucumbers, but they don't vine as much. There's lots of different vegetables you can do in containers. Um, Swiss chard and colorful lettuce and different herbs that they actually look very good compared with flowers.
Yeah.
So you have a functional and a beautiful container too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
And so you're saying you could even do flowers and herbs in the same pot? Yeah.
it happened. It's good. It works good.
Does it?
Yep. There's a flowering kale that actually is container, made for containers, but it's edible too. And then
Right.
there's a little colorful pepper you can put in containers. Lots of different stuff.
Yeah, there's all sorts. That's what I've been finding out is there's so much more than I ever even realized or could
Well, and
imagine.
there's new things every day,
Also
Yeah.
true.
And Patty was mentioning some of those grasses, and some of those are annual grasses here in Wisconsin. So if you put them in a pot, they aren't going to survive the winters.
Right.
But then there are some now that some of those purple ones, not so much the fountain grasses, but some of the other grasses that are purple and reddish purple that do survive our Fond du Lac winters. So
Some of the miscanthus varieties, they get pretty big, and they tend to have, some of them have very variegated foliage and some a darker purple tint to them.
yeah, there's like so many different varieties now of ornamental grasses. But you'll have to just, if you're buying them, just kind of be alert to they got to be at least zone 5.
Yeah.
If they're zone 6, they're
Nope.
not gonna make it here. And even the zone 5, some of
Like
the ones
even over summer? Or
They
you
make,
think-
no, they'll make
they'll
it
be
through-
fine.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. You're
Until
talking
about
about
November.
Okay, gotcha.
yeah,
No,
coming back next year.
And some of them are beautiful enough that if you grow them and they die, you got the chance to grow them because they're so pretty.
But you could even, and you could even buy a zone 5 grass, put it in a pot, and then in October at the end of the season, then plant it. You'd have to take it out of the pot. Don't leave it
I've done that.
in the planter
It
all
works.
winter long. But you could actually take it out and plant it in your garden at that point in time, or
Yeah,
around your home, or
yeah.
So-
And then next spring, you got your container plant back to put in your container.
And you just take it and put it right back in your container
Sure,
again? Wow,
it works.
look at that.
might even be able to split it and get 2.
Yeah, exactly.
or 3 sometimes after a
Wow.
whole season. Yeah.
It does.
Just duplicating them.
Yeah, that's the most fun, duplicating.
Oh, I'd imagine. I would imagine there's a sense of satisfaction behind when
It
you
is.
do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what most of our perennials that we bring to the plant sale that we've dug out of our yards is because they duplicate very happily, and then we divide them up in fall or early spring, and we bring them to the sale.
Very nice. Just another reason to come to the sale, right?
Yes. So we make sure that we do a jumping worm test in our yards before in the fall, before we say we're going to bring them. And because there's a few places around Fond du Lac that do have the jumping worm problem. And if you share plants out of somebody's yard that has that problem, you'll give that wonderful gift to the person you
Right.
share it with. So,
You'll be handing it off.
uh-huh.
What I've never heard of them. What are jumping worms?
They're a type of earthworm that is very similar looking to our normal earthworms that we have, but they multiply really quickly, and they eat a lot of they eat the understory so quickly. They like wooded areas, and they eat the understory growth from all the leaves that fall and everything very quickly, and they just destroy the soil basically
Gotcha.
because they
Yeah.
eat all the nutrients and
Don't leave anything left for the plants.
right and or trees.
Right.
And they if you dig in the areas where they are, it's like they're like snakes. They just
Just
yeah
disperse,
they're-
kind of.
yeah they're yeah. I have never.
They're not slow moving like a regular
No.
earthworm.
Oh, they're
kind
kinda-
of squirmy.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's, maybe that's the easiest way to describe it.
So
They're pretty.
way more wiggly.
sounds like I'd
Yeah.
rather actually have snakes than
Yeah, yeah.
they actually remove pests.
Right. So yeah, we help people get information of all those different things that can happen too at the plant sale, and we're going to have plant soil test available.
Okay.
So lots of different things.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of reasons to come on out.
Yeah.
All right. I tell you what, we will take our first break as you are listening to Landscape Smart, presented by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company.
And yes, Rademann's is open today. And I just got a message from Joe. He says we got extra truck drivers on staff here today to do deliveries because they anticipate being busy. So stop on out just 3 miles south of Fond du Lac, east of Highway 41 on County B.
Welcome back to Landscape Smart, presented by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. I am Matt Hinker, and joining me today is Ron Rademann and Master Gardener Patty. Phone lines are open for any and all of your gardening and landscaping questions. Give us a call at 923-1450 or 1-888-900-1450. Can't give us a call? Shoot us an email at kfizstudio@gmail.com.
So yeah, again, Rademann's is open today until noon, or you could give them a call, 920-922-7612 if you still want a delivery for today. Another thing that's going on, Arbor Acres, which is a good local community-minded organization. They do tree trimming, tree planting, shrubs, yards cleanup, things like that. Well, anyway, they're sponsoring a little festival right here in downtown Fond du Lac today. So
Very nice.
I think it starts at 10 o'clock. I know that. I think it goes till about 4 or 5. And they got some vendors down there and some live music. And we donated a tree, so they're having an auction. And they got, or not an auction, a raffle drawing, things like that. I don't know if you have to buy a ticket or if you just enter free. That I don't know. But anyway, it's a nice tree, a Royal Raindrops flowering crabapple. So it's got reddish purple leaves already. It's going to have reddish purple pink flowers here in another maybe 10 days. Depends if we have a lot more 77 degree days
Yeah.
or more 45 degree
Right.
days. If it's 77 degrees days, it'll be in a week. And if
Yeah.
it's 45, won't be for 2 weeks.
Yep.
So we kind of never really know when things are going to be flowering,
Yeah.
but because they can come awful close, and then all of a sudden they're right back to waiting around for some warm weather. So anyway, that's it's called Arbor Earth Day Festival, and going on North Main between Merrill and Division in Fond du Lac today from 10 until 5. I asked Rachel, I says, if you get a chance, call in and tell us more about what's going on. So I went last year, and of course last year it was like one of those days where it was I think it was about 35 mile an hour and raining.
Oh,
So I wasn't
Lovely.
real
Like-
busy, so I went there and wandered around, and it wasn't real busy there either, unfortunately,
Yeah.
because no one really
wanted to be out.
wanted to be out in
Yeah.
those kind of conditions. So
Yeah, much better day for them today, it looks
yeah,
like.
we're gonna get we got a little sun peeking out right
sun's-
now already, and
Mhm.
maybe some rain tonight, but that shouldn't affect these guys for
Yeah.
today.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, going on today in downtown Fond du Lac. And then one other thing, as long as we're got time,
Yeah.
we're doing, for those of you that can't make the whole show or listen and miss the beginning or listen in and miss the end or can't hang on, you can
Yep.
watch us, listen to us on YouTube now.
Mm-hmm.
So you just look up, search for Landscape Smart, and I think there's a link on KFIZ too.
There should be, yes. There should be a
But,
link at kfiz.com.
But so you could go to kfiz.com and look for the link there, or otherwise just search on YouTube under Landscape Smart. And I think they do. Is it season 24, Cody? Is that how they're?
Yeah, season 24.
So Landscape Smart season 24. I don't know where we got the season 24 from. You said 24th season. I haven't been doing it for 24 years. I know that, but
that's a long running program. That's getting up there with the Simpsons.
Well, anyway, it says season 24 in Landscape Smart, and that'll get you there. 2024. That's it.
Maybe that's what it is.
Okay.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. See that us older generation people can't figure that stuff out. It's that the new ones that say, "Oh yeah, 24. That makes sense now."
Yeah. I probably was doing it for that long because I did it with other organizations before.
Prior to us.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I don't remember exactly the name of the show back then,
I don't
but
either.
I mean, when I was in high school, 15, 16, 17 years old, I would actually listen to the show, and, I got a lot of Tony Ferdinand was on.
I did it a couple of times with Tony.
And Don Goodmanson was on back in those
I didn't
first
do it with
years.
Don. I did it a couple of times with Tony, but mostly, no, I can't think of his name. Jim Hovland. I would do it with him.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what it was called when we did it through
Well,
the
I think
extension.
Don Goodmanson and Tony from Goodmanson's Landscape Nursery, they're out there. We're actually where Stewart's is right now.
Yeah.
And Touch the Earth actually, bought up Don Goodmanson's business. So a couple of local, businesses took over for Goodmanson's, and then Tony Ferdinand with Hensey Floral, those two did the show together. This was back in the 70s, and then I think Don retired, and then Jim Hovland took over and worked together with Tony, and that's when Jim Hovland from the extension office. That's when the Master Gardeners got involved with them then.
Yep.
And I don't know, somehow Rademann's
You got roped in.
Somewhere along the line. So anyway, yeah, it's
guess
been
what?
a
Sponsor opportunity.
Yeah, Hensey's went away. That's why.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's actually goes back probably close to 60 years now. So it is and I don't know if like I said, maybe the name has changed just a little bit. Because it was a little more garden center orientated, and because they didn't do much for as much landscaping, and landscaping has evolved back then.
Yeah.
There were, where now there's outdoor patios and different pavers and retaining walls and all the different lighting and irrigation and like back then you pretty much had one or two choices in maples and no perennial grasses and just such a limited no hydrangeas there just wasn't much back in the 70s like that when so it wasn't quite as interesting of a show, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, we'd answer that.
I still learned a little bit.
That's good.
They would call in mostly about vegetable plants and vegetable garden stuff and different trees and shrubs too. I mean, there wasn't as much variety as now, but there was still plenty of stuff when we were on. And that's when the new blue hydrangea came out, and that was always a question people had, and we'd always answer lots of questions about roses and stuff.
Yeah, I think I would say roses were probably way more popular then.
They were.
Now now the hydrangeas are a little bit easier to work with, and you get all that late summer color. In some of the different, you still don't have yellow hydrangeas.
No.
Limelight's kind of yellowish, I guess, but not all the colors that you get with roses.
And it would be lots of different things that can go wrong, like the iris borers for the iris and all that different stuff that can happen. People would ask questions of how to fix stuff.
Yeah, now there's that's what they've kind of they've hybridized and crossed the more disease-resistant varieties, and they've kind of eliminated. And I do get that question. They want to know why they can't find one of the old-fashioned apple varieties and things like that. Well, they took some of those old-fashioned varieties and crossed them with a newer variety that's more disease-resistant
or smaller, so they're not so tall.
Yeah, well, that's a different.
That's
a different root. The root stock
yeah.
would make the difference there.
That's right.
But they cross the different ones and kind of improve on them, and so that's how. So then there's less problems. That doesn't mean we're out of the woods.
No.
There's still some problems, and I don't know. Maybe if we keep up with all this wind this spring, we won't have so many fungus problems.
Maybe.
Things, sun and wind are kind of things that nature's way of solving some of the other problems that are created. So
yeah. And tomatoes. Everybody would call in with tomato questions all the time.
All right, now see, mine is tomatoes difficult. That's okay. That's the feeling I get when people talk about it.
It's one of the most difficult vegetables to grow, but it's one of the most loved vegetables to grow.
Well, they're so versatile. There's so many things you can make with tomatoes.
Yeah. The key is when you get it home and plant it in the soil, mulch it before you even water it. That's the key. And if you want to, as it grows, pull off some of the lower leaves and then keep the stems. Don't let it get a ton of sucker stems. Just keep it to a minimum of 3 or 4, and you'll have much better tomatoes quicker.
Will that help you? You maybe would produce a few less tomatoes, but they'll be a much better.
Yeah, and they'll have a little better size to them.
Right.
So, and the thing that happens a lot to tomatoes is blossom end rot, which is if you mulch them with a good 2 inches after right as soon as you plant them, they'll just not get that blossom end rot so easily because you're keeping the soil moisture more even, and the cause of blossom end rot is the soil drying out too much and then getting too wet.
Oh, okay.
So this keeps the soil more moisture even, and blossom end rot is less likely.
Okay. Well, nice. I'll tell you what. We will take our second break right now. You're listening to Landscape Smart, presented by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company.
So, Rademann's is open today until noon on Saturdays, Monday through Friday until 4:30. I'm sure Joe is busy, but stop on out and say hi. Always should be plenty of people around to help out.
Welcome back. You're listening to Landscape Smart, presented by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. I am Matt Hinker, and joining me today is Ron Rademann and Master Gardener Patty. You want to ask us a landscaping or gardening question? Give us a call at 923-1450 or 1-888-900-1450. Can't give us a call? Shoot us an email at kfizstudio@gmail.com. And speaking of that, we actually have an email. So Lori actually emailed us about her Annabelle hydrangea. So you guys were talking about hydrangeas. So good morning. I did not get my Annabelle hydrangeas trimmed earlier this spring, and new growth has started. If I trim the dead blooms now, will I lose this year's flowers, or will this variety be okay? Thank you so much in advance.
Thank you. Thank you for asking.
Yes.
Annabelle hydrangeas, you can prune them back anytime you want to. They're very, very tough, and taking the blossoms off now is not going to hurt anything at all with any blossoms for this coming year. It just, all the blossoms come on brand new shoots and brand new. So you cut back to the desired height and leave some taller. You can even go short if you want to the outside ones or inside ones. The longer stems will give them more support, because once you get that big, like 8-inch flower on there, they get very heavy.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
And so you leave them about 18
them
inches.
Yeah, some varying heights.
Yeah. And then make sure you cut them back to an outward facing shoot, because otherwise all the new growth will tend to grow to the inside, and then you can have it's a big mess.
Yeah.
So to an outward facing shoot, these different heights up to about 2 feet at most, and you will have a lovely bush.
Yeah, you want to leave at least a third or maybe even half of those longer stems that, like Patty said, are maybe knee high or, up like that. And then you can make some cuts down at the base. Now, at this time of year, there's probably it's kind of just starting out. You might have 2 or 3 inches of new growth, depending on, how.
Mine's only at a ½ inch.
Yeah.
It's just starting out by me.
Yeah, and that's why if you're like in town on the, southwest side or something where it heats up a little bit quicker, you might have 2 or 3 inches of growth. If you're out in the country or the north side, you might only have it might not even be budded yet. But in her case, obviously there's some new growth coming. But I even kind of like to wait until right now when you see those buds and you see the new growth, because then you can do it. So even if you're cutting off a little bit of the new growth, there'll be plenty more there for you. So, but yeah, leave some of the tallest, kind of stage trim them, cut some off at knee high or a little above the knee, some halfway in between that, and some right off at ground level. And like Patty said, if you take them all off way low the easy way to do it is just trim them all off at the ground. And then when it comes up, you'll have a big mess because it'll all be laid over and you'll have a donut-shaped hydrangea.
Been there, done that.
All the flowers will be laying on the ground, and there really isn't too much you can do at that point in time.
Right.
So you definitely need those older stems.
What I like to do is stick a few tomato cages in there, and the foliage and everything will go around, and you won't even see them, and they just hold everything up pretty nicely.
And you'd have to do that right now.
Right now.
Yeah, because if you wait 2 or 3 weeks to do that, you won't get the cage in there.
Too big, too tall, too full.
So, because their leaves get
and
huge.
And they for the most part they'll hide those tomato cages. So not a real tall one. You got to make sure you size up your hydrangea, and that kind of works with even some of the endless summer varieties of hydrangea. Because they don't get as tall as Annabelle, you'd have to use a smaller cage.
I use it for my ginormous goat's beard too. It just holds it up real nicely.
Yeah.
And you don't see it. I don't see it until the plant's dead again for fall.
Yeah, it starts going dormant again. Yeah.
So yeah, that's I guess maybe we can talk a little bit about lawns and grass. There we're definitely right in the middle of step 2 because you're seeing your dandelions starting to color up right now, and if you aren't seeing them, dandelions. To each their own. And but kind of be mindful. Your neighbors might not like dandelions
so much. Yeah,
it's okay. You don't live next to me.
And and they can be they start getting out of into your plant beds, and pretty soon you have more dandelions than black-eyed Susans, and then you have a real problem. So, you want to get after them, and because otherwise they'll take over your plant beds. And so, that's more of the problem than anything, because it's easy to kill them in your lawn. You can spray them. You can put down your step 2, but once they're into your plant beds, then you've got a bigger problem. So,
all right, I tell you what, let's turn to the phone lines. You have a question for Ron and Patty?
I do.
Go right ahead.
I was wondering, does it matter if you spray for lawn weeds before you mow or after you mow? Or does it not matter?
No, you definitely want to mow first and then spray.
That's what I thought.
Because if you're spraying an herbicide on top of the weeds, or spraying the dandelions, let's just say, and then you mow off that chemical, then you're not getting the kill.
Even if you wait like 2-3 days till you mow?
That's what I was going to say. If you wait a couple, 3 days, that would be
Right.
okay. And you have to kind of be alert to that because sometimes, you know, if you're doing it yourself, it works out fine. You can time it properly. You can mow, then go ahead and spray, and then wait till next Saturday to mow again. Or if you like mowing on Wednesday, that's fine too. But, you know, if you have a lawn care professional coming and spraying your lawn, then you have to kind of be alert to it because, you know, if they've come and applied a chemical down, then you'll definitely have to wait, you know, 3 or 4 days before you mow. So
Probably
Okay, now
can't.
when would be the best time to transplant a vinca or a periwinkle?
Well,
Because they're in flower right now.
yeah, they're pretty tough. If you wanted to move them in different areas, you could do that because they're a pretty tough little guy.
They have kind of a deeper root, don't they?
Well, sort of. They're more,
it's a viney.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
right.
runner. It's more of a
So
runner.
it doesn't matter if you, cut the vine off and take them out in 1-foot sections or...
Yeah, that's the ideal way. And if you wanted to make sure, you could cut all around it and let it build its own root system and then dig it up. You know, like
Sure. Well, this is probably about a yard by a yard.
oh my gosh, yeah,
They've been in there about 3 years. I just started planting pepper plants inside in my pots.
okay.
You can't put them out too soon, otherwise they won't
Oh no,
blossom.
you need to be careful. Those prefer to get planted actually outside. You can bring them in and out, but in the soil, the soil has to be 65.
Right.
Your nights have to be around the 50s all the time.
Right, and it's the same way with tomatoes, too,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. Well, I've been doing. I take care of a guy's business's property, and I've got like 3.5 acres of grass, so I'm not going to be spraying all of that. I'm just doing it around the 12. I got 12 raised beds and about a 60 by 60 garden and a 40 by 40 garden.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot of stuff.
So I just want to spray around that area so the seeds, dandelion seeds, don't come blowing in, or not all of them. Or at least I'll eliminate some of them.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Don't spray on a windy day though.
no.
Yeah, today's not your day.
No.
I've been doing gardening since I could walk.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
cool. Come
I'm 73 now, so I've been around the block.
yeah.
You've done a few things.
You can come and find some really cool plants at our plant
Well,
sale.
what I wanted to know is that colorful spike grass that you were talking
yeah,
about.
I'm gonna have some. I already have them set aside for the sale. So,
How tall do they get?
well, some of them,
I don't want them to get too tall because
Yeah.
I have these in planters, 2 planters
Yeah,
in
yeah,
front of the
yeah.
front door of the business.
yeah, oh yeah, I can come talk to me. I'll help you.
Most of those, like purple fountain grasses, will get about a foot tall.
Well, that's just about
Yeah.
right.
You know,
Yeah.
and there's some that are maybe a little less, some a little more, but most of those are
They're
they
just
they don't get real large.
No.
So
There's a variegated one that I really like. It's called Sparkler, and it's variegated, and it's pinks and white and greens all striped on the leaves. It's just beautiful.
Okay, that sounds good because these are in brown pots and they're probably about 2 feet high
Yeah.
pots.
Yeah.
And
well, then you could handle a bigger grass in there if they're 2-foot pots. You know, then something that gets 18 inches or
Yeah.
would be fine in a pot like that.
Sure.
all right.
Yeah. We're gonna have a selection, so you can come and talk to me, and I'll help you out.
Do you know if that gourd design lady is going to be there?
I don't think so. She hasn't been available to come for the last couple years, but
Oh, okay.
yeah.
All right.
All right, thanks for the call.
Yep, you bet.
Thank you. All right, I tell you what, we will actually step aside and we will take our final break here, actually, for Landscape Smart, presented by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. So don't go anywhere.
Again, Rademann's just 3 miles south of Fond du Lac. You can easiest way is to get yourself over to Highway 41 or Highway 175, and then we're just east of Highway 41 on County Trunk B, just about a quarter mile down the road.
Welcome back to Landscape Smart, presented by Rademann Stone and Landscape Company. I am Matt Hinker, and joining me today is Ron Rademann and Master Gardener Patty. If you have any gardening or landscaping questions, give us a call at 923-1450 or 1-888-900-1450. Or if you can't give us a call, shoot us an email at kfizstudio@gmail.com. And speaking of that, we actually have an email in. So we have an email that asks, is it now a good time to spray for Creeping Jenny/Charlie?
For the creeping Charlie, the most vulnerable time is when they're flowering. But Ron, you said it'd probably work just as good before then too.
Yeah, well, and that's coming up real quick. Again, we're kind of, you got to, the best time is to get your product now.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Then be ready, because as soon as we get a calm day, then get out there and spray it. And Creeping Jenny, Creeping Charlie, Creeping Harry.
Is that one too?
Creeping
whoever
Joe.
It's kind of a deeper rooted, viney weed, and it's very, it's a perennial. So it's not like killing off a dandelion or anything like that. And it usually takes a couple applications.
Yes.
And if you wait too long to spray the first time, then it gets too late to spray the second time. So probably, this year, maybe the ideal time would be the first week of May.
Yeah.
So that's coming up here real soon. And that way, and then if you wait another 10 days or 2 weeks and put that second application down, you're hitting it kind of like as it's starting to flower and as it's, in there too. And Patty, she says, does it as, we were kind of questioning it off the air on the air temperatures. And the air temperatures kind of really aren't as important as the ground temperatures, because that's what kind of kicks these plants into gear. So typically you do need a series of, 50-degree days to kind of get that ground temperature warmed up. So it kind of takes both. In the first couple 50-degree days, don't warm things up underground yet. So you do need and we've had quite a few 50s and 60s and 70s.
Yeah, couple 70s.
And even a few 70s already. So that kind of gets things moving.
You mean another 70s today?
Yeah.
So
you're right at the right time now. I would go ahead and get it, pick up your product, or if you got some left on the shelf from last year, go ahead and
give her a spray.
Yeah, but not today. It's too windy.
Yeah.
Not exactly today.
Yeah.
But yeah, be ready.
And it has to be dry. Like if it's right after a rain or there's rain coming,
you want to wait.
You want to wait.
I'd imagine that's a pretty good practice with just about spraying at any point. Because I mean, if you spray and then it rains the next day, or you're just being rinsed away essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
You wasted it.
Well, for the most part, if a day later, you'd be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I'd imagine there's a window. Yeah.
And it's kind of funny. Some of that stuff you can I don't really like to do it, but sometimes you get a little surprise shower coming through, and I've sprayed herbicides, my lawn at home, and it rained, hour and a half later, and it still worked. So I don't know that it would work as well. I wouldn't
try to avoid it if you
try
can.
to avoid that. Yeah. And you got to be, and again, it's always a little bit tricky when you have the yard care professionals, and some of them aren't quite as professional as others, and they're out there, working every day when they probably shouldn't be.
Yeah.
So, be alert to that, because if you've got one of those, national chains coming around to spray, they don't look at the weather quite as well as you can look at it yourself. They kind of spray 5 days a week, sun
Rain
up
or-
till
rain or
sundown,
shine.
rain or shine.
I just say, I think they're just trying to get as many houses done as possible.
Yeah.
And so they can be a little bit reckless, let's just say. So you might end up calling them back because you're not going to get a good kill if it's raining an hour or two after they've finished. So that is kind of the one advantage of doing it yourself, is you can pick the day a little bit better.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't spray my yard much. I like natural.
I'll only do it here this time of the year, especially since I am seeding as well still again.
Yeah.
But then it's about I won't do much after that.
Yeah, and if you do if you kind of get after things right here, right now, one or two applications is really all it takes to beat things down a little bit. And, and it's kind of, that's always a little bit of, and especially as the next thing we're going to get a call on next week is the no mow May stuff.
Yep.
And I don't really know that, your 1/3 acre in town is going to do a lot of good for the world, especially when around Fond du Lac County, when you have about 99% of the landmass area is
concrete,
is farm fields.
Oh, I'm sorry. I see what you're saying.
Now, so you can kind of do your part, but it's probably more of a feel good than an actual benefit, because in Fond du Lac County, where there's a lot more farms than lawns, you're not going to do much good.
But in my yard, it keeps my bees happy, because that's their first food when they come.
The no-mow May.
Yeah. And then they're there to fertilize and pollinate, and all my trees and bushes that are starting to flower. I got all my bees because I got dandelions.
Yeah, well, you do. That's what the show is all about. To each their own, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I would prefer to plant desirable plants instead of having dandelions everywhere.
So you're saying there's other ways to try to attract pollinators, is what you're saying?
Well, I would tend to do it the other way around. I just want to mention one more time for anybody that's just tuning in late here. We are videotaping the show. You can find us now on YouTube.
Yep. And
so just go to Landscape Smart Season 24, as in 2024, according to Cody.
Not the 24th season.
So anyway, and again, Rademann's open till noon today, Monday through Friday till 4:30. We can still get you delivered today, 922-7612, area 920, or just 3 miles south of Fond du Lac, east of Highway 41 and County Trunk B.
Excellent. Thank you, Ron, so much, as always. Patty, thank you so much as well. And, of course, the
plant sale, May 11th. Be there, fairgrounds.
Time?
9 to 3.
There we go.